Seize the opportunity. That's the key. Springtime. Life is fragile. Life is brief. Elton John sings, she lived her life like a candle in the wind. It's fragile. It's brief. Whatever you're going to do, you got to get at it. Don't just let it pass away. Here's major lesson number 3. In the summer, learn how to nourish and protect. We've got 2 challenges in the summer in the personal development part of our life. And that is become capable and powerful enough in the summer and wise enough in the summer to nourish what's good and defend yourself against what's bad. Nourish and defend. The summertime is an interesting time. It holds the possibility of the promise of harvest time, but it also has the possibility of the threat. Sure enough, as soon as you planted your garden, the busy bugs and the noxious weeds are out to take it. And let me give you another word of advice. They will take it unless you prevent it. Summertime is an interesting time. Best as I can describe summertime, you got to nourish your values like a mother. Nourish like a mother. Go after the threat to the values you've got like a father. Deal with the weeds. Kill the weeds. Nourish the garden and kill the weeds. That's called summertime. What a challenging time. Give life like a mother. Take life like a father. Summertime. You've got to deal with the negative as well as the positive. Summertime is a unique, complex mix of positive and negative. Opportunity and threat. What a scenario of life itself. Opportunity and threat to the opportunity. And you got to deal with both. You got to think positive and you got to think negative. You got to handle what's ever out to threaten you. You got to learn to threaten it back. Summertime. Interesting time. Nourish like a mother. Defend like a father. You got to be like your bloodstream in the summer. Red corpuscles to what? Nourish. White corpuscles to what? Fight. You got to both nourish and fight. You got to nourish and be vigilant. White corpuscles think negative. You can't just think positive. You call me naive. Somebody says, well, I've been taught to be all positive. You'll be some kind of freak if you be all positive. Thank God for white corpuscles that think negative all day. Guess what white corpuscles are looking for all day? Problems, infection. White corpuscles say, just show me some infection, I'll kill it. Why? It's out to kill the body. It's out to kill our chances. It's out to kill our future. Whatever threatens us, we threaten. I'm asking you to take a sword to your enemies. Whatever's out to threaten your health, you got to threaten it back. Like white corpuscles, kill what's evil, nourish what's good, love like a mother, hate like a father. Father says to whatever threatens his family, 2 or 3 more steps toward this family, my family, you'll cease to exist. I'm father.
You've got to decide that the behavior pattern that you have adopted doesn't work for you. You've got to change your strategies, and changing your strategy means reinventing your life, recreating you, and you have the power to do that. You can decide that you're going to change, that you're not going to be a wimp. You can decide that you're going to stand up to life. You can decide that I'm going to live each day as if it were my last. You have the power to make that decision. You can decide I'm going to work on myself and develop myself. I'm going to empower me. And all of these things that are happening to me right now, they're just temporary inconveniences. They're not stronger than I am. I'm in charge here. Separate what you do from who you are. That's what the guilt trap is about. See, a lot of folk won't let you forget what you used to do or what you have done, what mistakes you've made. All of us have made some mistakes in life. All of us have done some things that if we had them to do over again, we wouldn't do it again. A lot of things that if I had it to do over again, if I knew then what I know now, I would have done it differently. Well, it didn't happen that way. And that's what you call life. I didn't do it like that. Oh, you don't want me to live that down, huh? You want to keep on putting that in my face about what I did. Guess what? I'm not interested. That's what I did then. Won't do it today, so you are picking on an innocent man. Hello.
You have just said that regardless of how good or bad my past has been, regardless of how good or bad my present is, there's something I can specifically do now that will make my future either better or worse, and the choice is mine. Now, folks, that's profound. I'll always tell you when I've said something profound. And the reason I do is I found out a few years ago that an incredibly high percentage of my audiences do not recognize my profound statements when I make them unless I tell them this is profound. Now, this is going to involve a lot of communication. We had a lady right here in Dallas went down to see her attorney about a divorce. And the lawyer said, what's the problem? And she started rambling. He said, no, said, be specific. And she said, like how? And he said, well, do you have any ground? She said, oh, yes. Said, as a matter of fact, we got about 40 acres right out here on the north end of town. He said, no, that's not what I'm talking about. Said, do you have a grudge? She said, no, but we got a really neat little carport there right on this side of the house. And he said, woman, we need to make this first. And she said, said, like, yeah. And he said, well, does that man ever beat you up? She said, oh, no. Said, I'm up every day at least an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours before he even turns over. And he said, well, do you accept any responsibility for the difficulty? And she said, like, yeah. And he said, well, for example, do you ever wake up grouchy? She said, oh, no. Said, I just let him get up on his own, whenever he will. And he said, well, why do you want to divorce the man? And she said, well, the guy just can't communicate. Now, we're going to try to make the communication such that as you listen to this tape, you will have no difficulty understanding exactly what I am talking about. Everything is choice. For example, for 24 years of my adult life, by choice, I weighed well over 200 pounds. Now, the reason I say by choice is simply because I have never accidentally eaten anything. Always a choice. Now, if I choose to eat too much, then I have chosen to weigh too much. You are where you are in many ways because of a series of choices that you have made. Now, I'm the 10th of 12 children. I asked my mom one time, I said, Mom, why so many? And she said, well, son, where do you think I should have stopped? Well, it's for sure I didn't think after number 9. Now, you can absolutely count on that. Let me say something that I think is very important. A few minutes ago, you made the observation that the responsibility was yours to make the right choices. Now, responsibility carries a lot of weight in life. Barbara Tuchman, 2-time Pulitzer Prize winner, said the number one need we have in our society today are people who will accept responsibility. And that is so tremendously true. Most people that I speak to think I'm in my early 30s, but actually I'm 68. Now what that means is I was raised during the Depression. My dad died when I was 5 years old. There were 6 of us too young to work. Small Mississippi town, Yazoo City. We don't even have a village drunk. We share with a little community, next to us. But it's exciting. About once a month the train comes through town, and I know that doesn't sound like excitement until I explain we don't have tracks there. And then that puts it in a different category. It really does. We used to hang a mirror at the end of Main Street, make town look bigger. Well, anyhow, small Mississippi town. Now, let me say something here. I can tease about my hometown for one very good reason. It's an amazing little town. Former president of the American Medical Association is from Yazoo City. Former president of the American Bar Association from Yazoo City. Former president of the Southern Baptist Convention from Yazoo City. The former editor of Harper's Magazine is from Yazoo City. Former secretary of Agriculture is from Yazoo City. Chairman of the Republican Party is from Yazoo City. Jerry Clowers is from Yazoo City. Now, I have no idea what happened to the other 3. But, I can tease about my hometown because it has been so productive, and we're going to be using humor throughout because, you see, people learn faster, they learn more, and they remember longer. But the major point I'm making there is we can tease about that little town because of its productivity. People who are confident and productive, they don't mind you kidding them along. Good, clean kidding and humor, I think, very definitely has a place. Now, I don't need to tell you that as a 10th of 12 12 children, 6 of them being too young to work, heart of the Depression, small Mississippi town. We had a tough time financially in the Depression. Other families had it tough too. But I'm so grateful that for whatever reason, I did not choose to notice what we did not have. What I did notice is what a lot of people did have in that little town. See, even in those times, I noticed some people wore nice clothes. They drove nice cars. They lived in nice houses. They took nice trips. They even had dinner out. Some of them even played golf at the country club. You know what I've noticed in every decade of my life since, and this is the message I really want you to get right here. I've noticed that regardless of the economy, there are some people who don't pay any attention at all to it. As you well know, the media has accurately predicted 27 of the last 2 recessions. Now, there are some people who just don't pay any attention. Other people are doing. For example, I've noticed without exception that in some instances, many instances, when the economy is absolutely magnificent, there are a bunch of folk going broke. I have noticed that in some instances where the economy is absolutely horrible, there are a bunch of folks getting rich. How many of you have noticed exactly the same thing? Now, this is major point number 2. Major point number 1 is you do have a choice. You can do something now about your life, making it either better or worse, and the choice is here. Number 2 is this. It is not what is going on out there. You see, a lot of that you cannot change. There's nothing you can do about Bosnia at this moment personally. There is something you can do about you and your future. It's not what happens out there that makes the difference in your life. It's what goes on between your own 2 ears. Now, that's what makes the difference.